Hey, Shannelle Fergus here, also known as Tali, just stopping by to make sure you check into Soundcheck.
Hello people, welcome to Soundcheck, brought to you by Deja Entertainment, sponsored by Ginge London. I'm your host, Antoine.
And I'm your guest host today, Jade Hackett.
And today, we have the wonderful Shannelle Fergus, aka Tali.
Woo! It's my little Teletubby dance for you.
I don't know what I was doing.
I was doing Dipsy.
Nice.
So for the people that don't know you,
Yes.
just give us a bit of background information, where your dancing journey began.
My dance journey began in 2004, where I started dancing with a lady called Tanya Moore at my local leisure centre, but Tanya was in Plague and Boy Blue at the time, so slowly moseyed over there. Was in various crews over that side of things until I joined ZooNation in 2006. Did Into the Hoods with them and had kind of a commercial jaunt for a good 4 years, and then picked up managing the agency at ZooNation in maybe 2011 and 12. Probably started teaching and choreographing around that time as well, and still do all of those things, and now manage BoyBand dance crew as well. So, fingers in pies.
Nice.
Wow, boy.
Fingers in pies.
Hey.
Hashtag fingers
Well,
in pies.
I obviously know you. We go way back, boy. We're from the first generation dancers. High 10 for those people, may I add. So one of the things, I know you've done a lot of commercial work, which is good. And one of them that I also remember, which Nuna reminded me of the other day,
Really?
actually, was your Kelly Rowland work when you was dancing, like backing dancing for her and stuff. So one thing obviously is, how was it working with someone on her stature? Because I'm sorry, Destiny's Child, like, let's be real.
No,
Come on.
Kelly Rowland is
Any one of them that was even in there
my lady.
is all right. Calm down. I suppose she's taken. Anyway, so yeah, how was it dancing for Kelly Rowland? And like, as a dancer, how was you like treated during the whole process? Because we've had a lot of people on here before talking about, you know, how dancers are treated within the commercial industry. So what was your experience of that treatment at that higher level?
That job specifically was handled by her kind of team whenever she was in the UK. So they didn't really work with dancers a lot. So it was an advantage for us because we kind of, not dictated, we didn't ask for a lot, but we kind of set the tone instead of the agencies that have a high volume of dance. They just kind of need to get it in and out and done. And also with an artist of that calibre, the older generation of artists, and her being a child star and going through that, I think they have a bit more respect for their dancers anyway. It was while Into the Hoods was in the West End that, and Sasha as well, who was in the Hoods, she came with us. We did the Australian promo for work. So we got to go to Melbourne and Sydney and see her without her weave and just chilling in like hotel rooms, which I think when you're doing commercial work, a certain switch goes where you just kind of forget who you're around because you can't really be sat there like. But there was still just a especially because I knew all the girls that were there. I couldn't really get over the fact that, like, I love Destiny's Child. So the fact that she's there with like do-rag on and like nothing and just chilling eating pizza is like a great thing. So that one was definitely a highlight, and that was a good like 9 years ago. So I was really young. So
have there been like other jobs that you've done and it's not been as
not as good
and not as
when you're part of a bigger crew or bigger cast, you're aware that you're just a number and more of a prop than being asked for your individual dance ability. Whereas that job, there were 4 of us, so you're going to be seen and your talent matters. Whereas if you're just like hitting a mark in a spot and you're at the back of a line with like 20 people in front of you, it's quite clear that your talent's not quite as important. I did 2 Bollywood films back in the day, and they're notorious for not really treating dancers particularly well. You kind of get paid like extras, which is still like minimum wage kind of thing, but considering you're kind of front and centre in their films, they're not great. It's cold. Think we're dancing barefoot in like gravel. Oof. And yeah, wouldn't do that again, but you live and you learn.
Mm-hmm. So talking, you just said that you've been paid like an extra before. Mm-hmm. So as a professional dancer, how do you feel about dancers that take so little pay for work, and how do you think it affects other dancers when they do that?
Like, I think most dancers have done at least one job where you've done it for free, but the difference is knowing that you should be paid. If you know that you should be, you can make that's your decision to make if you're willing to still go out there and dance for nothing. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't necessarily know that it was wrong to, and that I should expect to be paid for everything that I do. And because so much, there's a whole kind of subgenre of showcases and videos, and you might not necessarily know the people that are asking you to do it, but you will do that for free, and then how that transfers into a paid job isn't necessarily clear. So I think once you're being hired by a production company, where there's money in the pot, you should be getting some. If there isn't any money in the pot, then there isn't. If no one's being paid, from the cameraman to the runners and stylists and stuff, then it's a labour of love from the off, and you can make that decision. But if you're the only people on the job not being paid, then that's clearly an issue.
So for me, I would like to know as well, coming from a female point of view. Sorry, Anton.
That's fair.
Sorry, bro. But yeah, coming from a female point of view in the industry, like, what have you specifically come against, like any problems or walls based on your gender, if that makes sense? If you know specifically your gender has played a role in these blockages of you know, furthering or progressing your career, have you ever experienced anything like that, and what advice could you give to other females like myself that are trying to, you know, push forward into the industry, and you know, to be asked to do certain things that you might not appreciate to be asked, or you know the whole.
I think it's hard to see, like, hindsight's a great thing for anyone, but if I could speak to my 18-year-old self, I would have just said that you can do you, and in time it will pay off. It's only maybe in the last 3-4 years that everything I've been asked to do is off the back of who I am as a person and as an artist, whereas all the years up to that was spent trying to fit into the moulds that I thought I should, but that mould changes on every job, so that's an impossible task.
Could you give like examples, like, of those moulds? When you say moulds, do you mean like stereotypical imagery, iconic?
Just image, going to class and feeling that I should be in something that's not like my American Apparel socks and my basketball shorts and my t-shirt, like feeling that I needed to like suck it all up and put a face on for class. I sweat too quick and too much for that to be worthwhile. And I was a huge tomboy when I started, so to feel that I need... But then Boy Blue and Plague and AG and the crews back in the day it wasn't gender specific stuff, and then when it was, I wasn't really ready for it, because I wasn't really learning to dance as a female. I was just learning to dance. So when it came time to like have on a skirt and heels, I was like Bambi. Why is Kendrick doing this to me? What is this? Breaking Convention 2004, if you want to laugh.
Oi.
Hear that, guys?
5 actually. But no, I haven't really had any problems with it. I saw what might have been expected of me, but I just wasn't really willing to do it. And the period where commercial dance was something that I was really striving for was quite short, so it kind of came and went.
Okay, well, I'm really interested also in that seminar that you was giving recently.
Yes.
I even spoke about it to you the other day, and you did it like at the Move It convention. Was that right?
Yes.
And basically, for those or viewers at home that might not know what that was about, could you concisely summarize what that whole seminar was about, and, you know, the advice that you was giving to dancers seeking knowledge about this whole industry?
Sure. I've spoken a fair bit about dancers' rights and rates of pay in all agencies and all that stuff, but that one was quite different in that just from top to bottom I went through how you go from being cast for a job to being paid for a job, or how an audition should run, commission, contracts, being penciled for a job, and bad practice versus what's legal and not. Because I think dancers, we get ourselves into sticky situations where we're saying it's against the law, you can't do that, and it's like it's actually legal, they just shouldn't, and they are very different things. But to go back slightly from that and why I would even be there given those conversations, myself and 3 other dancers formed a campaign group called Dancers United in maybe 2011, 2012, just because like dancers whinge. I don't think we do quite as much now. I think we're a little more proactive in having a conversation about things that aren't right and then moving straight through to try and do things about them.
Yeah.
But we started that as a result of just seeing how bad things were, and I think the commercial industry was in a much worse place then, and then working with Equity, who are the union for all performing artists, to try and change those things. So that together, we'd go to the colleges and chat, places like Move It, try to do some things. If I had kind of intensive workshops going on, leaving half hour at the end to try and get some info out. I have the Word document of everything that I said, so if anyone does want that, if you ask for contact details and stuff at the end, like information is there to take and make those better decisions for yourself, because I know it's hard.
That's awesome. So, okay, let's go to hip hop theatre, because I know that is also another branch of your extensive career. So the one I obviously want to talk about is ZooNation and your involvement with the company as a whole, but I also want to get your view on hip hop theatre in general and what you feel like it's A, done for the industry, B, if you think it's evolving and it's, you know, it's pushing it and it's becoming more mainstream, and C, what advice would you give people that are going for hip hop theatre auditions to do well in them and, you know, to kind of push forward? Because I've spoken to quite a few dancers of late, and they're really brilliant dancers, but they might not necessarily be pushing forward and booking these hip hop theatre jobs. So what advice would you give to people? So let me go over those again, because that was a bit
that was like, wait,
that was a bit. Let me roll that back. Okay, so first things first is hip hop theatre, and what do you think of it in general? Yeah. Let's go with that, and then I'll ask you the next one.
Awesome. I think it's great. I think it's the one genre we have, or area in dance that we have, that goes beyond the foundations and the techniques of the movement. And with those foundations within street dance, there's so much to be said within them, and so much room for you to explore narrative and acting, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I think ZooNation do it in a very niche way, and it's a very accessible commercial way to do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say like beginners hip hop theatre, which comes across a little wrong, but for anyone that knows nothing of street dance and hip hop, I think it's a great in for them. Yeah. And always kid friendly and family friendly. And then you've got kind of Boy Blue, also it's all family friendly, but then maybe tackling slightly darker themes, or Zoo do, but there's always going to be that kind of light at the end of the rainbow, where I think maybe Ken goes a little further towards the darkness before the light comes. And then you've got Bird Gang, who, just to give them a shout out even more, since 2013 I've been dancing with them. Don't know why I hadn't mentioned them yet, but my dance life is essentially driven by what that company are doing, and they are going to the other end of the spectrum in that it's pretty much always going to be 18 plus in terms of they're not restricted by light and the necessity to show a happy ending, or to make sure that all ages and kids can come and enjoy. So that then opens up a lot more room for story. Breaking convention as a whole and the stuff that they do just allows dancers, as you say, that aren't kind of acting, exploring that stuff just to see a way for them to. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the choreographers that do it. They kind of show a way for dancers to just think about their practice and how to get involved with it. Myself and Jack Point and Mackenzie did one of their initiatives called Open Art Surgery earlier this year, and you just have a room to go and explore anything you want in, and then share it at the end and people ask questions. And we're very musically driven. Our ideas generally come from songs that inspire us, and then that beginning, middle and end is dictated by what the singers had to say. And somehow we were working in silence, and you've got John Z D and Anthony, I wish I could remember his surname, kind of observing throughout, and just the journey that space takes you on, I would never have thought was possible for me, because it's just movement choreography thus far. So the room within hip hop theatre to grow and explore is endless. Really.
Yeah, I remember I came to watch that. That was seriously awesome.
It was a bit serious.
It was like I'm waiting for the beat to drop and it's just not dropping, but it was still really engaging and like innovative. And I, to this day, I hadn't seen you put on anything to that caliber either. So yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, the last part of the question was about other dancers trying to get into hip hop theatre, and what advice would you give them whilst they're going for these auditions, and the best way to book these hip hop theatre jobs?
I think just staying open. I think to say go and take acting classes alongside your dance training might be a little naive, because if you're not passionate about acting then dancing and investing in your art is already expensive without going and doing that. But just staying open in general throughout your dance life, and just once you get in that room, because I know sometimes you walk into auditions and you just shrink immediately, and if someone's going to ask you to improvise, be it on your own or opposite someone else, there's no room for that. To staying open, channeling as much as you can. We've all had amazing experiences and really bad ones, and if you can kind of bring those in, and also if you're training, you're confident in yourself as a dancer, you can kind of forget about that a little bit and focus on what's happening in the audition that you're not so comfortable with. I'm all about cleanliness and what are the counts and what are the moves. But if you focus on that more so than you need to be happy now, or you need to be like raging, if you're still thinking, yeah, but I don't know what 3-ander was.
3-ander.
That is how I still work sometimes, but it's just removing that. They've probably invited you because they know what your dance ability is, so now they need to see
the acting,
the rest. This is totally a note to self as well, because I still don't do this all the time, but I think that's the main part of advice I give.
Definitely.
Okay, so earlier you said that you started managing BoyBand.
Yeah.
So that's very good. How did that come about, and what would you say the direction is that you want to help guide them or take them to whilst managing them? Or
they are former members of ZooNation Youth.
Yeah.
They created BoyBand while they were still involved, but then they got to dance while they were still in ZooNation Youth.
Okay.
But Britain's Got Talent, they'd just left. I took them on after Got to Dance, because I was doing the agency management stuff for ZooNation. And Shannelle, who works at ZooNation, she just thought it would be nice to give them a helping hand. And also, as all professional dancers know, the admin side of it is really boring. And they were starting quite an exciting journey, and I just thought it would be nice to relieve Mikey, predominantly, who was doing all of that stuff, of the boring bit, so he could enjoy the ride with his friends. I'm not creatively involved in the company at all. I literally just manage the inquiries and bookings and stuff.
Okay.
So the choice is theirs as to what direction they want to go in. Through Britain's Got Talent, because it's such a unique experience, and to learn on the go can be quite dangerous in those situations. You can find yourself signing up to something you don't really know much about, etc. So I definitely helped steer them a little more then than I would now, but I'm always at the end of the phone for them. But it wouldn't be fair for me to creatively send them any which way, because it's their baby, it's not
Do you
mine.
think Britain's Got Talent was a really good vessel for them to go through?
Yeah, not so much. No.
No.
I don't think they needed to do it. I think they're incredibly talented young men.
Why do you not think they needed to do Britain's Got Talent?
Because I think they would have done everything that they will do regardless. They're very hard-working boys. They're lovely people. They're going to make the contacts that they could have made the contacts that they have. I truly believe that without the show, especially where they placed. The press isn't great for someone to back the 12th act of BGT. So I think it only really benefits you if you place us in a certain... The exposure was great, but considering their love for teaching and travelling with that, the people watching BGT aren't really going to be booking you for workshops. The fact that they judge at competitions and they teach their open class and they're exposed to the dance community anyway, the workload hasn't really changed that much. So I think it's great that everyone got to see what they're capable of, but in terms of the scope of their career, I'm not too sure it's going to have that much of it, that much of a difference.
Would you personally ever go on Britain's Got Talent?
Absolutely not.
Any reason why, or just...
Not really. I don't feel the desire to expose myself in that. I was asked to do Got to Dance, maybe BoyBand's season, actually.
Okay.
But they do great...
This as a solo act or like a collabo?
A solo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice
and continue.
Is it nice? I guess the work that I do with the agencies and equity and just my knowledge of the other side of the industry, I know the amount of gas. They've probably seen like a popular video of mine on YouTube, maybe, or not to say that it's like millions and like anything that I could bring to the table, but I know they pick the bits that are gonna like pump me up and make me think, well, yeah, this would be a really good thing for me. But my creativity isn't commercial. I'm not driven to create to songs that are like popular because that might lead to this, or collaborate with that person because it might lead to this. That might be something I'm missing, but I'm just not that way inclined. So I only ever really see those shows as a leg up, and I don't really want one. I'm happy to just follow the stuff that I'm passionate about, and however high that takes me is good enough for me.
Dope.
Makes sense.
All right, so we are going to take a little break from all the questions and interrogations now. Right. We're going to play a little game. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we are going to play a game called Callback. Yeah.
Call, text,
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service.
Right,
exciting.
So this is a game called Callback, which we've been doing with a lot of the guests. You have 3 missed calls on your phone.
All right.
And you have to call someone back, you have to text someone back, and you have to completely straight air them.
Ignore to the core.
Like, fully.
Alright.
Not necessarily on road. If you see them on road, like, wah. But I'm talking about on the phone. Like, they will see the 2 blue ticks on WhatsApp, and then it's just like, you just still not answering back. So, you got 3 people. So, I know Carrie Ann is one of your Codies, so I have to just drop her in. Shout out to Carrie. Nuna,
alright,
I know is one of your Codies. I see you with the little children them. So remember, if you blue tick her, you blue tick Kenya and all them. Just say
that went into
and then Jack, who is like your muse when it comes to dance. He's like, you two dancing together have created some really amazing performances. So for me, that is a very hard dilemma right about now.
Piling on the pressure. Okay.
Someone is getting buoyed today.
I would.
No thinking. Look, she just answered that straight off the cuff. I didn't even need to think.
I'd call back Nuna.
Yes, Nuna.
Generally, we play phone tennis where we just miss. So on this occasion, I'd get direct. And also, she doesn't really call. So if she did, I would think that it was important. Maybe involve the kids. Carrie, I would text.
Okay.
Because again, we generally meet up for the big old catch-up, so a text would do. And I would ignore Jack because...
Libs. No more
There's
duos.
decent logic here. I'd probably be on my way to see him anyway.
You see how she done that?
She's very smart.
You see how she got around? No. Give her a clap.
You twisted it and made it work.
You ruined it.
Work
She said,
for herself.
you said that on
Yes.
road bit, and I was like, yep.
Okay,
on
so
road.
basically, what that
Jane
was is
flopped
that
it,
was
basically.
me. That was me. Like I gave her a help with that
Little
one.
bit.
Yeah.
True
if you
that.
know, if you've seen me in a couple of these series, you know that I have great ideas. So I just like looking into the camera when I have them and let everyone know that that came from me. So her answer, that great, brilliant answer, all mine.
Once again, she's taking props for stuff that, you know, was just in the air. But, you know, how
in
it
the
goes.
air, thrown by me. Okay.
Talking of throwing, on the subject, how did your knife throwing performance video go? And was it a scary experience?
Sorry.
Can I just say I had to pause that video a couple times because it was like
Intense.
your face, the knife and your face
How was that routine?
clapped at some point.
They
the
didn't,
knife.
so I wouldn't be here.
I'm telling you, I felt like I had to pause it because that was it. How do you get into that knife throwing choreo?
Well, that was a production company called Rattling Stick, and that was I think their producer group called We Are Shining, and the song was called Killing. Have to say that because can't just let that knife throwing video. Just gotta give them
the actual thing,
yeah. And so you can see it. Funnily enough, I got an inquiry through at ZooNation for a girl to feature in this video, and while I was trying to sort that out for them, I also got an inquiry in my personal inbox for the same thing. The girl that I had in mind for it at Zoo didn't know they were the same thing at the time, was too young to do it or didn't fit the brief. Then I ended up getting that same gig, and it was for this. It was a really cool experience. It was like around Christmas. Again, it was that kind of point where I was being asked to do something because of the dancer I was. It was all kind of freestyled. Fair bit of rehearsal. John, the knife throwing guy, was awesome.
yes, John.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You know, I think as dancers we don't look back very much. So even when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, like it is actually one of the highlights of my career in terms of visibility. But it's easy when you're kind of driving forward to forget the things that you've done. But that's definitely one of the, or probably the most unique thing that I've done, and probably one of the only things I've done of any profile that is just mine. Apart from obviously John.
It's amazing.
What about that? Was it frightening when you went into that first rehearsal and you was like, okay, they're gonna throw knives at my head. Good, I can do this.
How did you
5,
feel?
6, 7, 8.
As much as it was freestyled, I choreographed, so everything you see is choreographed so that I'm gonna miss that. So you're not kind of just winging it and just like knife. Like that didn't happen. It was more like I'm going this way so you can throw the knife that way, and I'm gonna do that so you can throw the knife there. So there weren't any knives for the first.
And was it
few
ever
times.
a close call in rehearsal?
No, so I don't think the
None.
video would exist if there were. I think I would have
Pulled
chickened
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was definitely. That's one job where I think I possibly could have asked for a bit more money.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
A lot.
yeah,
Your life.
Just
like, lesson learned. But no, I wouldn't change it for anything. It was great.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Is there anything in your dance career thus far that you feel you would still like to accomplish, or any jobs, or any concepts or theatre productions, anything that you would still feel that you've still got to offer before we all hang up our dancing boots?
Back say no. Lots. I'm a little. When dance is your bread and butter, it's hard sometimes to stay passionate for it, or to let what you want to do lead the way as opposed to what you need to do to make that money. And luckily with the agency stuff, I can kind of do the dance that I really like, and be a little more picky. I'd love to do, well, no, I did. I always thought I'd like to do a commercial tour, but last year doing the Breaking Convention tour with the Birds was like one of the most fun months of my life. Took a little while to recover from it, but no, it was a great time. I'd like to travel with teaching a little more. I've done a bit, but I'd like to do a lot more. I just would, it's not really about credits or kind of ticking things off. It's just about nurturing the relationships in dance that I have. They've changed a lot over the years, but all the kind of pockets and little circles that I find myself in at the moment are perfect for where I'm at, and I really want to nurture those. When I was younger, I thought now I would be kind of stopping dancing, but last year I think, or maybe around Breaking Convention time with the Birds, I feel like I started again kind of with my dancing.
Nice.
As a dancer, I was still teaching and stuff, but I just felt like I kind of got back to enjoying dancing again, whereas I felt dancing was kind of going away and I was just going to offer everything I knew to everyone else. And as much as I love teaching, it's a lot of energy, so I think you have to do those cycles of going and learning again, so you've got more to offer, and that's happening at the moment, so I think there's a lot. If I can get another cycle in, I'd be really happy.
Dope.
Nice. So if you could put, a random question actually, if you could put a super crew together, which 3 choreographers would you employ to help contribute to your choreography?
What is this super crew gonna do?
You got me there.
They are going to take over the world, as
Alright.
all super crews do.
Glenn Hudson.
Glenn Hudson.
Yeah, he'd
Nice.
have to be, because they're a super crew anyway.
Cool.
That's right.
So I'd nab him for his intricate dance moves. Wow. Okay. Do they have to be from here?
Yes.
Yeah, keep it UK.
Alright.
Keep it
Can I do
UK.
an international one as well?
No.
One international.
No.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
No
It's absolutely
international,
understandable.
UK.
Jay's
it's
the
fine,
boss.
it's
What
fine.
Jay says goes.
UK.
No, it's absolutely fine. I would have Ivan Blackstock, not necessarily for choreography, but for creative direction. Not many super crews have that kind of
Aspect to
visionary
Towards it, yeah.
thing to it. It's just like bang, 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 and sing.
Class.
And yeah, let's go. It's got to be a girl. Kim Taylor.
Nice.
Nice.
I think her and Glenn would do good things together. She's got that commercial experience as well, so it wouldn't maybe be so packed in. So I know when my parents came to watch me dance, there's just so much movement. So it would be nice for there to maybe be a bit more kind of stagey stuff. So yeah.
And where
Those
would
3.
you
That is a
say
super crew.
saying
though.
like
Yeah.
for real,
That is-
for real.
That's trouble.
So you're saying like obviously where would this super crew go? Where would you take this super crew built by Glenn, Kim, and Ivan?
Where would I take them?
First show. Let's start small. First
First show. Let's take it to a festival.
show.
I don't know which. We can just leave that as vague, right? Just a festival.
Okay.
Everyone at festivals generally open and up for something new. That would definitely be something new.
Sick.
Yeah.
Festival.
So
I
we
didn't
talking
expect
like
that.
Glastonbury, or are we talking more
Maybe like
Wireless.
scale.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Not wireless.
Not wireless, Jade. Why did you say wireless? Go on.
I don't know. This is what I'm
Maybe-
saying. I'm the one that has the original ideas in this group, not you. Continue.
Maybe like a mid-scale artsy thing. I don't
Okay.
want it to be lost on the sloshers. You want, people to actually want to watch it. But yeah, and also performing outside is always amazing. That breeze, just like, oh my god, I'm in the moment. Okay,
Yeah.
instead of just holding your breath and then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, that's it. I don't really remember it.
Yeah. So a super crew by Glenn, Ivan, and Kim at a artsy festival.
Yeah, let's say
Nice.
that.
My idea, guys. Just
Again.
remember,
Again.
where you heard this first. Me, Jade.
He's killing me.
I had this idea. I kind of kickstarted it off. So if it happens and it materializes, you know where you heard it first.
And I'm
Right
co-props. I take the co.
No. There's no co-props. It's just me. Tali, seriously, thank you so much. It's been great.
It's been awesome.
Last part.
Thank you for your time.
What about any contact details? So if somebody was watching this and really interested, especially when you said about that seminar
yes.
document, where could they go for that?
Find me. I don't really use my Facebook for personal stuff, so Shannelle Fergus on Facebook is fine. Tali's tweets is Twitter. I'm not massive on social networks really, but if you message me on Facebook, I'll get it, and I always post if I teach. That's all I really use it for. But I'm there.
Nice.
And if you want, should say this, if you want ZooNation for anything, agency at zoonation.co.uk. If you want BoyBand for anything, boybanddancecrew@hotmail.com.
Wow. Guys, Tali in the building. We all give her